Chapter 2, Male/Female Complementarity. Philosophy rarely considers the feminine without also considering the masculine. Throughout history and across cultures, many philosophers have pronounced some form of complementarity. Generally, they agree that there are intrinsic physical, emotional, and intellectual differences between men and women, and that these differences make men and women complementary pairs. Here are some of the complementary qualities of the masculine and feminine that philosophers have distinguished. Masculine versus feminine. Masculine, objective, feminine, intuitive. Masculine, analytic, feminine, wise. Masculine, leader, feminine, follower. Masculine, interest in wider world, feminine, domestic. Masculine, task-oriented, feminine, quality of life-oriented. Masculine, light, feminine, dark. Masculine, good, feminine, evil. Masculine, providing, feminine, nurturing. Masculine, hard, feminine, soft and delicate. Masculine, dominating, governing, feminine, subservient. Masculine, brutal, feminine, sweet. Masculine, strong of body and will, feminine, weak of body and will. Masculine, head dominates, feminine, heart demonstrates. Masculine, creating outside of self, feminine, creating within the womb. Masculine, spiritually active, feminine, spiritually contemplative. Masculine, future-oriented, feminine, present-oriented. Masculine, sublime, feminine, beautiful. Masculine, adult, feminine, childlike. Some philosophers think of men and women as different but equal in their fundamental dignity. These include Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, Rousseau, Kant, C.S. Lewis, the von Hildebrands, Edith Stein, Carl Stern, Carol Wojtyla, and C.G. Allen. Other philosophers say that the differences between men and women indicate the basic inferiority of women. These include Pythagorean thinkers, Aristotle, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, and Sartre in part. Philosophers who emphasize the similarity between men and women are mentioned in the section 3. In my research on philosophers' views about the feminine and masculine, I have primarily used two sources: Meyerwald's Philosophy of Woman, 1978, which includes excerpts of many works, and the Great Books Index. Some excerpts do indicate extreme ideas about the inferiority of women. However, in some cases, to label a philosopher anti-woman on the basis of particular quotations can be misleading. A distinction should also be made between complementarity of qualities and complementarity of roles. Quality complementary, such as Dietrich von Hildebrand, Stern, and Wojtyla, John Paul II, are primarily concerned that different traits of men and women be reinforced whatever roles they play in life. Of course, roles of motherhood and fatherhood involve different qualities, and one does not find in quality complementarity the same emphasis on men and women having opposite positions and tasks in society. Here are a few theories typical of a quality complementarian. Edith Stein, a German phenomenologist who became a Carmelite nun, writes the following: I am convinced that the species humanity embraces the double species man and woman, that the essence of the complete human being is characterized by this duality, and that the entire structure of the essence demonstrates the specific character. There is a difference not only in bodily structure and in particular physiological functions, but also in the entire corporeal life. The relationship of the soul and body is different in woman and man. The feminine species expresses a unity and wholeness of the total psychological personality and a harmonious development of faculties. The masculine species strives to enhance individual abilities in order that they may attain their highest achievements. Woman's strength lies in her intuitive grasp of the concrete and the living, especially of the personal. She has the gift of adapting herself to the inner life of others. Stein, 1987, 177, 178. This gift is related intricately to woman's ability to carry a child within her womb and to breastfeed. Whether she is biologically a mother or not, her soul's whole psyche is geared towards holding others close. The philosophy of Dietrich von Hildebrand is summarized in Man and Woman, puts forth a specifically quality complementarian theory with little concern about implications for role complementarity. This may partly be explained by the fact that von Hildebrand himself, the youngest in a family of remarkably creative and intelligent women, he surrounded himself with similar women throughout his life, his second wife, Alice von Hildebrand, being a philosopher and co-author of several of his books. Von Hildebrand thinks that men and women are equal in nature and in their call to holiness, yet they are two different expressions of human nature. The difference in the personality structure of man and woman remains an undeniable reality. If we try to delineate these specifically feminine and masculine features, we find in women a unity of personality by the fact that heart, intellect, and temperament are much more interwoven, whereas in man there is a specific capacity to emancipate himself with his intellect from the affective sphere, von Hildebrand, 1965, page 13. He points out that the united personality of a woman makes isolated, promiscuous sexual experience more destructive for her than for a man. The man committing the same sins is equally culpable but less annihilated, since he can more readily make sex simply a compartment of his life. In woman, the personality is more in the foreground, in man, his activities. According to Dietrich von Hildebrand, because men and women are complementary, they are spiritually ordered to each other and created for each other. Greater love is possible between them than between members of the same sex. More fruitfulness is possible because of a certain tension between them, because of their delight in one another. They are more suited to meet in an I-thou communion than two of the same sex who join together to appreciate a reality outside themselves. Perceptively, von Hildebrand saw that the positive masculine liberates woman from the negative feminine, and that the positive feminine helps to bring men out of the negative masculine. Men become less coarse, dried out, and depersonalized when women are present, and women become less petty, self-centered, and hypersensitive in the presence of men. A man with a strong mind can lift a woman out of the complacency she may fall into. A woman brings out a man's tenderness and responsibility. Quality complementarity, with a modified role complementarity, is commanding attention from another source, the philosophical and papal writings of John Paul II. Quote, in the sphere of what is human, of what is humanly personal, masculinity and femininity are distinct, yet at the same time they complete and explain each other. That's from Mulieris Dignitatem, page 25. In his beautiful book, Love and Responsibility, written before he became Pope, he underscores the equal ontological dignity of women and men. A woman is capable of truly making a gift of herself only if she fully believes in the value of her person and the value as a person of the man to whom she gives herself. And a man is capable of fully accepting a woman's gift of herself only if he is fully conscious of the magnitude of the gift which he cannot be unless he affirms the value of her person. That's Voltaire, 1981, page 129. In Mulieris Dignitatem, he affirms this equal ontological dignity. Both man and woman are human beings to an equal degree, both created in God's image. Man is a person, man and woman equally so. Number 6. At the same time, he frequently alludes to the complementary differences in feminine and masculine traits, similar to the ones we have outlined early in this chapter. A playwright as well as a philosopher theologian, John Paul II frequently captures in a phrase his perception of complementarity, as in, a woman wants to be loved so that she can show love. A man wants to be loved so that he wants to love so that he can be loved. Or, above all, the woman feels that her role in marriage is to give herself. The man's experiences of marriage is different, since giving oneself has a psychological correlative possession. Voltaire, 1981, page 99. Like Dietrich von Hildebrand, Pope John Paul II sees the I-Thou communion of man and woman. Man cannot exist alone, Genesis 2:18. He can exist only as a unity of the two, and therefore in relation to another human person. It is a question here of a mutual relationship, man to woman and woman to man. Being a person in the image and likeness of God, that also involves existing in a relationship, in relationship to the other I. Man and woman, created as a unity of the two in their common humanity, are called to live in a communion of love, and in this way to mirror in the world the communion of love that is in God, through which the three persons love each other in the intimate mystery of the one divine life. Mulieris Dignitatem, number 7. Familias Consortio, Pope John Paul II's Apostolic Exhortation on the Family, 1981, crystallizes his ideas about men and women in the married state. The passage most often quoted states that wives and mothers must not be compelled to work outside the home. In his encyclical on work, Laborem Exercens, the Pope suggests a revolutionary plan that would have societies provide women with supplementary income so that they might comfortably remain in the home, tend their children without economic pressure to work outside the house. John Paul II's ideas are primarily quality complementarian. Expressions of role complementary can be found to various extents in the works of such philosophers as Aristotle, Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, Rousseau, Kant, and Nietzsche. They believe that strong role differentiation, especially concerning males in leadership, furthers the stability and happiness of mankind. Among the most striking and popular recommendations of role complementary are best-selling books such as Maribel Morgan's The Total Woman, 1975, or Helen Anderlin's Fascinating Womanhood, 1990. These books differ from the sober rendition of scholars and philosophers, not only in their rollicking how-to style, but also in their emphasis on the negative feminine traits. According to these women authors, the more dependent, manipulative, weak, coy, and kittenish the woman, the more she will draw out the positive masculine traits in her spouse. The happy success stories that fill such books raise certain questions about how apt the label negative might be in our list of feminine traits. Can it be that some of these qualities, while toxic to society in general, can become positive within the marital union? Deborah Grumbine, wife, mother of 5, and Catholic writer, thinks so. In How to Be Happy and Holy in Your Own Home, She writes about joy in sex and contentment in family relations, and she depicts a certain merry coyness and frank desirousness as the rewards a tired husband and wife deserve after a hard day of work. Grumbine also believes strongly in the subordination of wives to their husbands. This submissiveness is not passivity, however, for the wife should battle vehemently for her convictions. However, when the husband and wife disagree, the husband has to break the tie, not only to avoid chaos or divorce, but also to realize his responsible, forceful leadership qualities. A man in this position will rejoice to know that his decisions have brought happiness to his wife and children. Grumbine's unpublished manuscript includes invaluable practical suggestions about happiness in marriage and family. Truth and falsehood of the complementary theory. It is my conviction that quality complementarity contains precious truths and that role complementarity, while sometimes too rigid, is basically helpful to women and men. The feminist critique of these theories will be evaluated in Chapter 4, Feminism. Basically, I find that women who concentrate on developing masculine traits and fulfilling masculine roles seem incomplete and unhappy. Women who develop their femininity yet also develop the traditional masculine traits, such as those listed at the beginning of this chapter, seem more fulfilled. We are called to exemplify all the virtues, not just the feminine ones. Sometimes romanticism of the feminine, or a strict definition of roles, can lead to the sort of clinging, violent, passive, lovable, but weak woman such as Edith Bunker in All in the Family. Some Catholic women exhibit this deformation by staying in canonically invalid marriages or by continuing in a situation where they are physically or psychologically battered. They do not stay out of love, but because they fear independence and the resulting struggle to earn a living. A less drastic form of inadequate development of traditionally more masculine traits occurs when a woman is too shy to witness to her faith. Men who overemphasize their male leadership traits without developing Christian maturity can become at worst tyrannical and brutal, and at best patronizing, paternalistic, and smug. I have found it stimulating to consider an analysis of the feminine from the standpoint of natural knowledge and wisdom. However, for me, this is but a prelude to the enjoyment of the truth to be found through pondering God's will for women in Scripture and tradition, the feminine transfigured in Christ.